Hello friends and welcome back. It's Terry with Terry's Mailbox, and today I'm presenting this fun, colorful rainbow set of cards. I'm presenting for CutCardStock, and I'm using a wild selection of rainbow colored cardstock. I've got razzleberry and lunar blue and light lime and chamomile and dark purple and wild salmon that I'm using, and I ended up cutting those colors into 1/4-inch strips. And so now I'm using a piece of Altenew double-sided adhesive paper. And again, I'm putting it on a piece of white cardstock. You do not need a heavy piece of cardstock to do this. So, 80 pound would be just fine. So again, I'm pulling the adhesive off, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start putting the pieces on here and trying to keep them straight. That tends to be the challenge. It gets a little bit wonky on me, but I'm going to go with it. I can work around it. So again, just kind of adding all of those stripes. I love these rainbow colors, and again, I've always loved rainbows. That just has been something that I've been drawn to for many years. So here's my two backgrounds, and you can see they're pretty straight. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this Thinking of You. This is from Concord & Ninth, and this actually is part of a border floral die, and then the Thinking of You goes in the middle. But with the Thinking of You being separate, I was able to cut that out separately out of the center of one of the rainbow panels. And you're going to see how we're going to make a shaker panel to go on top of it. So I'm going to go ahead and use this rectangle die to cut the piece out that I'm going to use for the shaker. So there's that, and then we're going to go ahead and glue the sentiment onto the center. A lot of times I stack my dies, like to give them dimension, etc. But I don't want to do that here because this is going to be a shaker portion of the card, and I don't want my fun shaker sequins to get caught up inside the shaker portion. So again, just kind of making sure it's on there straight, getting it glued, using my paper towel to kind of soak up the extra glue. So that part is done. So the next thing I'm going to do, we all have this packaging clear plastic stuff that, again, stamps, dies, etc. come in. So I'm going to go ahead and use a piece of that for my shaker card portion. So again, I've laid it down here. I'm going to trim around the exterior. I'm gluing on 3 sides. Right now I'm just worried about getting 3 sides adhered. And so I'm kind of trimming it down to be about 1/4 of an inch larger than the white piece. You do have to cut the corners to make sure you get a nice clean, clean fold there. So again, you'll see a red arrow at the lower portion of your screen. I'd love it if you'd subscribe to my YouTube. We could have a lot of fun. Become one of my subby friends. I'd really enjoy hanging with you and making fun things. So again, I've got the shaker portion of the card done. Now I pulled out the sequin box. Okay, when I started making cards, I bought sequins like crazy. Any new color combo I had to have. So I've got about 3 boxes like this. So what I'm doing is I've kind of selecting some of the rainbow colors in here. I thought they matched the cardstock very well. And then after putting it together, I kind of thought, got too many sequins in there. So I'm going to go ahead and pull some of them out, and you can see here I'm being kind of selective with the sequins I'm putting in here. Again, in this case, I don't want to overwhelm the sentiment in the background with too many sequins. So that's kind of my strategy here. So kind of working, just making sure I'm happy with it, and then we'll go ahead and glue the top portion of that down. And that's going to cover, you see how nicely that covers the cutout letters in the center of that panel. It works really well. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my glue tape runner and go ahead and add adhesive onto the back of the stripe piece, and we'll go ahead and add it onto an A2 110-pound white card base, which tends to be what I use quite a bit. And so again, decided, nah, got it a little bit off here, so I'm going to put it in my guillotine trimmer, and I'm literally trimming a hair off. I mean, it is this itty bitty, you can kind of see it there, little tiny piece that I trimmed off. But again, now I'm going to work with that shaker panel, and I've got a piece of fun foam on the back of it, and then I'm just going to go ahead and add glue around the perimeter. I always feel better when when I'm using the white glue. So again, I'm going to center it here on the stripe piece. There we go, and this is card number 1, completely done. Thinking of you, love it, rainbows, cheery card. So for the next one, I've pulled the other stripe piece that I made, and again, I'm trimming the strips to make sure that I've got them straight. Again, since I'm using just a partial piece, I don't want it to be crooked in the middle of my card. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stamp this eucalyptus jar from Altenew on the front of the card and also on the striped piece. So I've had this stamp in my collection for a while, never used it, and I thought, ooh, this one just perfect because it's nice and big. So again, I've got my stamp positioner here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to black heat emboss on total jar on the base, and then I'm going to go back and catch that rainbow piece. If I would have put the rainbow piece on there and then attempted to stamp, there would be a gap between the end of the rainbow piece and the white card base. So again, you don't ever want to do that. So I'm just using black pigment ink with clear embossing powder. So again, I've got the stripe where I want it. I can kind of play with it here a little bit. And then once I'm happy with where it is, I went ahead and removed the card base, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp the that portion of the jar. Decided I didn't want to use a magnet because that might get in the way. So I just used some temporary tape to tape the piece of striped cardstock there. So now I'm going to pull out my obsidian ink again, and we'll go ahead and use my stamper type of thing to press it down. I want to make sure that it goes all the way to the end. That's really important. So once I'm happy with that, we'll go ahead and pull it. I use a piece of paper to catch my embossing powder. So again, this is clear embossing powder, making sure it's covered. And I went ahead and heat embossed it. So now what I'm going to do is just add some tape runner to the back. And I've got an extra piece there. Something kind of stuck on there. So anyway, I'm just adding the glue, and then I'm just going to line it up right with the image. Sorry, my head's in the way here. I'm trying to make sure I get it right. And it's a little easier if I look straight down at it. So again, I've got the rainbow piece on there. So the last thing I'm going to do is go ahead and black heat emboss a circular sentiment. So I cut out some circles. So again, I want the middle one. I'm going to pop it up a little bit, and then I'm going to mount that on a white circle that is just a little bit bigger. I just thought that really added some interest. And so again, they're all stacked up here. I got two stacks per layer. And so we'll go ahead and put that on the front of the card. And I sure hope you've enjoyed seeing my rainbow cards today. Love rainbows, as I said. So again, it's Terry with Terry's Mailbox. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Blogger. I would love it if you would come and subscribe. Join me on all of my social media channels. Thanks so much and have a great day.